our introduction unit, which is subtitled Reading is Having a Conversation. Now this unit extends throughout this week, and after that we'll step into Unit 1. The focus of the week is on the course methodology and our approach, or the way that we'll be discussing and exploring literature this semester. Your reading assignments for the week are from a book by John Schwiebert called Reading and Writing from Literature, and I've given you copies of them here. Why Don't You Let It Out Then is Chapter 1. Making New Text from Old, Intertextuality is Chapter 2, and then the optional one is Building a Reading Notebook. So this is your required reading for this week. You don't need your textbook per se this week. You'll need it beginning next week. So if you don't have that yet, that's okay. Just be sure you get it before next week so you can begin the reading for Unit 1. Next Monday is Labor Day, so you'll have that day off. So starting next Tuesday, we'll dive into the work for Unit 1. But this week, we're just focused on introductions. Here are some other things you'll need to look through, just the major course materials, resources, so you can know where we're headed for the course, know what I expect of you, because if you don't know what I expect of you, how can you get that sterling grade, right? Anyway, this week the terms to know are literature and text. I've given you the definitions this week in preparation for our discussions because I want you to be familiar with how I approach the topic. We're starting with some basic terms here. Literature, obviously, being writing form with letters, or literary production or work, book learning, etc., etc. So those things, that is what literature is, and that's what we'll be discussing through this course, is stories, narratives told in writing. Now a text is a little different. It's wording of anything written, but also it's a thing woven. I love this idea of a text, a thing woven of different ideas. So you're bringing together all these different types of textures, of styles and ideas, putting them into one work, into one narrative that reads coherently and strongly. But I love that idea of the text. Now these terms, again, since I've defined them for you this week, you don't get extra credit for defining them. Bummer, right? But in coming weeks, I would like you to define them. Places you can go to define these words are in the back of our course textbook, and also there, if you just Google maybe glossary of literary terms, you can find some pretty decent ones. Stick to the top of the list here. You can probably find some pretty good definitions of the words that we'll be working with so that you can know, become familiar with the terminology. So just a couple of pointers on these terms to know. Now the discussion boards for this week are focused on introducing yourself to your peers, getting acquainted with one another. A lot of you have already posted to that, which is awesome. It's good to hear from all of you. And the other one is Reading is Having a Conversation, where we'll be taking the ideas from the Schwiebert text that you'll be reading this week and discussing them and applying them in the discussion as you talk about these things with your peers, because this is the basis around which upon which our course will be built, is your responses to literature, varying ways that you can respond to literature, personally, academically, objectively, etc. We'll be moving through all of those throughout the semester, so I expect it to be fun. Anyway, your first assignment is due at the end of this week, the introductory notebook assignment, where you will take a text and respond to it using a 4-step process that Schwiebert has come up with and that you'll be introduced to through this week's reading. So that's this week basically in a nutshell. It will prepare us for the rest of the semester, so make sure you familiarize yourself with these texts, that you keep them in front of you, that you annotate them, interact with them, so that you can become familiar with what will be, with the way we'll be approaching literature throughout the semester. So that is for the introduction unit. If you have any questions about anything, also one other thing I'd like you to do is to send me an email from your preferred email address, so that I can know you're getting the messages that I send out. I can add that to the course, things like that. So send me an email by the end of the week from your preferred email address, Just another thing to keep in mind. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. My inbox is always open.